Good morning.
Hey,
I am so honored, Noe, that you've joined us again. This is the third or fourth or fifth time you've been on Nifty Culture, and just watching everything that's been happening with your collection and seeing everything that's been going on in the space moving so quickly. You were one of the first people that we met, and just thank you for coming back and tell us a little bit about this drop that's coming.
sure. It's good to be back. I always try to be in the know-how of everything going on. But yeah, we got a nifty gateway drop coming up this the 20th. Actually, I'm not really sure about the time, but I think it's going to be a pretty good one. And it is the third one. The first one was actually with like the Matt Kondek, right? And now and then we had like the community drop dates. And this one, I wanted to make it like a infrared theme. Like all these pictures you see were taken with like an infrared camera. And yeah, I really like that piece. I think many people are going to enjoy it too. But basically, uh, even though it's only my third drop, I wanted to kind of create something to reward people who hold my pieces or like people who like support my art. Like I know you're a fan of my work, which is really cool. So
I absolutely love your art, and I've got one of your pieces from hand. This was the first piece that I got from you, and I've got a few pieces on hand. I was lucky enough in a secret Discord to win a mint pass for one of your OpenSea pieces, and then I also own a Nifty Gateway piece, and so I'm excited, and your style, the whimsical photography that you're able to bring and infuse the feelings of the anime that I grew up on into photography is just really really awesome to just see the vibe and the feel. And I'm a big fan. I'm so thankful that Nifty Gateway gave you the first chance and the second chance, and now you're back. And your collections are all doing well. They tend to go up in value, which is something that collectors like to see.
mm,
And so just seeing everything you've been doing is really exciting. I do want to ask you. I want to pivot away from the collection for a minute, and then we'll come back to it. Um, but the other thing that's really cool about what you do is you have multiple YouTube channels, where one of them you're talking about photography, the other you talk about your journey into NFTs, and you're active on the Discords. You're a moderator for NFT Asia. And yesterday we were on a Spaces with our new host Lauren, and someone had found your YouTube video talking about the environmental impact, and we don't have to get into that now. But you're a little mini NFT celebrity where your voice really matters. Can you talk about why you think it's important to not just be an artist in the community, but to be a member of the NFT community?
well, when many artists come into the space, they just want to focus on NFTs and selling, and they they kind of want to pretend they have nothing to do with crypto, but that's not really the case because the two are intertwined. And I think like the more you learn about like cryptocurrency and decentralization and the way the markets work, then the more you understand the lingo that people are speaking of. You understand the markets. Like, don't be minting your piece when gas is like 500 gwei or something. But if you're in the know-how, then I think you can uh, get along much better with people in the space. And a lot of collectors have been doing cryptocurrency for a long time. So if if you can just be like, how can I say, in sync with like their mentality and their way of thinking, then I think you'll be much more successful. So when I came here, I didn't know too much, but I really made the effort to learn about crypto and the markets, and that's why I spent a lot of time in different discords learning about how people think, and especially the minds of collectors. Like, remember back in the spring, where a lot of people were not very happy with like Nifty Gateway at the time, but now things are like turned around and people feel much more different. So if you listen to what people are saying and you apply that to your work, then I think you can be quite successful. Mm.
That's awesome, and I agree. The This is going to sound bad, but it's an honest take. Is that the collectors are just as fickle as the artists in this
Mm.
space, and what's hot today from a platform perspective may not be hot tomorrow. And you and I were having conversations really, and it's interesting just to watch the growth of the category where we used to spend hours a day on a Nifty Gateway forum on Discord and just chat all day long about everything. And then you talked a lot about diversification and making sure that you test different styles out on different platforms. And then the Nifty Gateway winter happened, and you were diversified. You had other avenues. You were doing the things on Tezos, and you had OpenSea and Foundation, and now I agree with you. I love what Nifty Gateway has done. I think that they heard loud and clear from their customers, some of the flaws. They started being more accessible and doing that. And now it feels like January again with Nifty Gateway, where they're just doing all the right things. And it's awesome to just see this drop. And I think that your type of art is a great way to onboard people that are coming from fiat as well, because the photography just pops so well and it's so different. Like a lot of these NFTs are harder for people that aren't crypto native to understand. But if I see beautiful scenes that feel like anime, that feel like the things I grew up with, it really resonates with you, whether you're a fan of NFTs or anything else. So it's really cool to just see this drop coming.
So yeah, the one you put up here is Lion Rock Peak. That's going to be one of the I think it's like the only one that's really open to everybody. That's why it's got like a higher price than the rest. But I wanted to reward the collectors or people who have my pieces with the other sets, and I wanted to provide Lion Rock Peak as like an entry for people who really want to hold one of my pieces. And I guess someone looking at it for the first time, I think that's actually a pretty high price, like $750. But when you look at the floor of my current pieces, I think it's pretty good, like maybe 1/3 of it, right?
Yeah, and that a lot of collectors would do the opposite, or a lot of artists, even on Nifty Gateway, where if you're holding a piece of art, you get access, but if you want to buy in as a collector, they're going to charge you a premium on this. So you're actually doing the opposite, where you're saying, hey, look, if 30 people who don't hold one of my pieces want to come in, this is a good entry point. And relative to all your other pieces, absolutely, it's affordable. And I can see some of your fans on some of these secret discords trying to get all of these. I did want to ask you a question about Tokyo Catter because
Sure.
and just a little bit of background. A lot of your real photography, has been complemented and compared to some of Mad Dog Jones' work. I know that I believe you and Mad Dog Jones have talked briefly on Twitter, but I think what's really cool for me about this particular piece is you're going out from what you've done, and you partnered with another incredible artist. We tried to get her on the show, and we messed up and weren't able to make it happen. But we do have an interview with her on our website, niftyculture.com. Can you talk about just this friendship that y'all have and this piece in particular, and then what the bonus piece that's coming after this might be?
Yeah, like I think it all started back in April. Like I bought one of her alpacas. That little dancing alpacas. They're really cute to look at. Man. They make me really happy just looking at them. But like, yeah, we talk every day, and like we talk about crypto and about trading and about NFTs. Pretty much we do everything. And I think she's really underrated because she works on these pieces, and I think this piece took her like 2 months to make. Like the more you look at it, the more you see all these little details. Like I don't even think people look, like if they zoom in, they can see like the little holes on the walls and the little cracks. And yeah, she's in here, but actually pixel art takes a lot of time, patience, and talent. And I wanted to use my I don't want to say my influence, but like I want to help other artists that deserve the spotlight. And that's why I wanted to do this collab with her so that more people can learn about her work, because I think she's really undervalued at the moment, as you like to say in crypto,
I couldn't agree more. And a very kind person, very active in the community, and just what I love about what you're doing with this is, as you said, paying it forward, right? When you think about some of the aspects of, I'm trying to pull up her Twitter. But when you think about kind of how you got your first entry onto Nifty Gateway, you already had a bunch of fans, you already had a lot of people rooting for you, but just the fact that you are paying it forward, and her art is incredible. And when you think of just some of the some of the art in the NFT space doesn't provide joy, right? And when you just look at these llamas, I mean, you can't help but smile. And
Mine's the blue one.
yeah, now she's going to forever be in the Nifty Gateway collection with you. That's awesome.
Mm. Yeah, like I think she deserves that kind of attention because she's been grinding since as long as I have, and she I'm with her almost every day, so she's always working on something, and this kind of thing should not go unnoticed, right?
Right.
So maybe someday she can have like a drop day herself, hopefully.
Heck yes. And that's, I mean, that's the most important thing, is the artists that stop paying it forward and stop realizing the grind. And yes, there's a ton of skill and talent. I objectively think, even if, and I have one of your physical pieces that you signed right up here, the blacklight print. I forgot to even mention that, because I was such a big fan, and I say this all the time. And we were talking to one of our other friends about one of his projects on a previous stream, but I want the book, but I only want the book
I
when
got a book for you. I'm
I
saving it, you know.
I appreciate that. I can't wait for you to come back to the States and meet in person, and have a Texas meetup. It's going to be awesome.
Mm.
So to finish, I'm just rambling. So it's 5:30 my time, and we were dealing with internet issues where my internet was down up until right before we went live. We were trying to make it work on an iPad, and it wasn't working. So forgive the early morning from my standpoint. But if you hold the Catterday gift that Noru created by December 20th, you're going to be able to buy another piece of your art that inspired the pixel art for
Mm.
$1.
$1. Yeah, like we're doing a ranked auction for me and her piece. She's getting half, of course. But if you collect one of the pieces and you manage to hold it for at least 30 days by December 20th, then you get the original photograph. And I don't know if you can tell, but like the cat has like a little bobtail. And it's actually one of my favorite pictures. And I'm really happy that she chose this one because I gave her like a folder to choose of different pictures that we could do in her style. And I'm glad she chose the one that I was thinking of. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm getting over a cold, so my voice is a little.
No, it's awesome, and I think like there's so much going on in this picture, and that's the thing, right? There's if you look at all the details, all the movement, and everything else, and that's how you get the movement that you got out of the pixel art that I think really looks cool. So can you tell us a little bit more about the style? So when you think about the infrared, and these trees aren't actually this color, can you talk about how you came up with your creative process and how it's evolved over the years? Because even the piece on my black dove behind me, you do a lot of different types of photography, but your photography on Nifty Gateway in particular does have some of this whimsical and anime type feel, in my opinion. Can you go into a little bit of that story?
Well, I watch a lot of anime. I'm kind of a weeb in a way like that. I go to Japan a lot, you know, but like I take a lot of my inspiration from like anime films. Like I actually save wallpapers, and when I go out taking photos, I try to take pictures that look like something out of an animation. But most people are familiar with my nighttime, rainy night, Blade Runner, Akira, Ghost in the Shell type of photography, right? But this time I wanted to show what I could do in the daytime. Because even though everyone knows me for like my nighttime photography, when you look at my daytime pictures, it's like completely different feeling, right? It's like very kind of lovely and very gentle and, like you said, whimsical. But I take pictures in infrared because for me, daytime photos are very boring. Like I take so many night pictures that whenever I take daytime photos, it just looks so dull and uninteresting to me. But whenever I use an infrared camera, it's like everything kind of changes. So it kind of gives you a different look and perspective than that you didn't know was there. And especially for the people watching my pictures, I want you to think that when I take these photos, I take photos of things that I think are very kind of common, like everyday scenes, nothing interesting about them. But I want people to see them the way I see them, that you can kind of find beauty wherever you are. So a lot of my pictures, maybe you don't think they're interesting if you just see them in person, but actually, you give me a camera and I'll make you think otherwise.
That's awesome. And I've been talking about this a lot where some of the things that frustrate me is with photography and NFTs in particular, is there's a lot of photographers that feel that they have to add movement. And some of your photos you add movement, and some of your photos you don't add movement. But what I want to say is that you spent the time to go and learn a skill set to do movement properly. When a lot of and this is a critique for photographers that are watching today from a collector's lens, is that oftentimes a lot of the photography today is, you can tell it's mobile app induced movement. It's not going and learning an additional skill, right? When I look at this, when I look at the birds and the leaves and everything, it's concise, it's well packaged, it feels good. It doesn't feel like it's movement for movement's sake. And for a lot of photographers out there that are adding movement for movement's sake because they think that collectors want movement to buy the NFTs, that's not true. The photography space in NFTs has matured. All that being said, if you can go and learn a skill and add this type of feel to your art, it becomes the photography plus the movement, which becomes something completely different. This is a very, very short film, but a very, very beautiful short film, in my opinion. So, can you walk through that process of what? And we've seen the evolution. Some of you started adding some rain, and you started adding those things that did do a little bit of, in my opinion. And if I'm wrong, please forgive me and correct me. Some of the little stuff that Mad Dog Jones was doing so well, and then adding it on and making these little animations that do feel and look awesome.
Well, uh, a lot of photographers tend to go a little overboard with like the movement and like the 3D motion and that kind of stuff, which is all right. Maybe that's their kind of style. But like I say, I'm very inspired by anime. And usually when you watch an animation, there's very minimal, serene kind of movement to the pieces. So I'm a photographer and I want my pictures and my little clips to remain as photography. And that means little movement, not too crazy, not going all over the place, not overdoing it. I hope that helps answer the question.
No, it
But
does.
I want to
Oh, go on.
create a very immersive experience. And I'm not a musician. I suck at making music. I tried. So instead, the best thing I can do is like include like ambient sounds. But ever since I started doing this, like now I go out and I record sounds too. Hmm.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know that you were also doing the sound
Some of them.
recording.
Yeah.
That's really cool, and I love the subtlety. Right, it feels like an afternoon in this magical place where the wind is slightly blowing, the clouds are moving, and it's really really interesting. Um, Let me pull up one more. So can you also tell us a little bit about? And it's funny, you've talked about this a lot, and this goes back to one of the things that's really important for photographers to understand as well is that you use older equipment. You may have upgraded since last time we
Mhm.
spoke, but I believe that last time we spoke, the photography equipment that you were using was between 5 and 10 years old.
10
And
years
this,
old.
10 years. Are you still using that equipment, or have you used some of the drop to either experiment or try new equipment out?
I upgraded, but I actually haven't had the chance to take any pictures with the new equipment because, like, I do have a full time job. Like, people don't know that I'm an English teacher in the daytime and I work full time. And after work, I'm usually really tired. But like all the pictures and all the drops that I've been having, they've all been done with like 10-year-old cameras. So now that I have the good stuff, I can do like 8K videos and stuff next time around.
Oh wow, what do you mind if I ask what you picked up?
I got the Canon R5. That's
Awesome.
going to be like my rain and snow photography camera. And I got the Canon R for infrared. And I upgraded it because actually I just got it because they're lighter. I'm getting old. It's kind of heavy carrying the stuff around all night,
Right.
especially me since I tend to walk like 8 or 9 hours when I take photos.
That's cool that you upgraded, but it's cool that you also are still doing using the old equipment. And this goes back to kind of the thing. I was, and I'm guilty of this too. Is I'm a Sony mirrorless fan, and just because I have an expensive Sony mirrorless doesn't make me a good photographer. It's part of it is being in North Texas. There's just not a lot of beautiful things to photograph. But the other part of it is I don't go out there and hone my skill as much as I need to. And you talked about this previously. When you go out and shoot for the night, how many pictures on average, and how long are you out in the evening when you are going out and shooting these types of pieces that are a little bit different than some of the other drops we discussed?
It depends. Like if it's a work, if I got to go work the next morning, I'll probably take like 700, 800 pictures. Maybe five of them will be decent. But if I'm out on vacation, like I go pretty much all night and I can probably come home with like maybe 1,200, 1,300 photos.
That just shows that a lot of the time it does take being there and capturing the right moment and making sure that you are increasing as many opportunities as you can to catch that. Can you go into a little bit of detail with this piece, because this is some of the other in Nevin's Underground and those types of things. This is kind of what the aesthetic that originally got a lot of excitement for you. Can you talk about this piece in particular, because it's not in the other URL for the website? So what's going on with this piece? How is this different?
This is the collector's only open edition. Like I've told people before, like I don't want to do any open editions because I think it devalues your work as an artist. But collector's only edition kind of puts a cap on how many editions you can put out there. So I tried to keep the price like as low as I could without devaluing my work too. But I know a lot of people love my night photography, so I wanted to put this piece out there and let them be able to pick up a night piece for a pretty good price. I think 300. And luckily, not too many people have a piece, so they'll be able to keep a nice cap on the open edition.
It's awesome. Holders will be rewarded. And what do you think about the $350? It's less than zero point 0.1 ETH if you're one of those ETH to fiat calculators. What's next after the Nifty Gateway drop? And if you don't want to share, don't want to go into it yet, but it seems like you're building a lot of momentum. What are you thinking for your next types of projects? Is it going to be more collaborations? Take a little break as we head into the holiday season? What comes after this?
I never take breaks. Maybe I should. Well, before Nifty Gate, like maybe a day or two before Nifty Gateway drop, there's going to be some really, really, really big news. And I think a lot of people are going to be very excited and also happy for me because, when I started NFTs, I saw it as a way of possibly being able to buy a house someday. It's housing prices in Asia are really crazy. And with this event, that might seal the deal for me. So maybe if everything goes well next year, I will be able to go full time, but I'm not just like, it's not just all NFTs. Like I actually have money saved up. I've been saving for years and all this stuff, but I might have enough to buy a house. And but yeah, don't let that take away from what's going to happen like in 2 days, because you're gonna hear the news, and everyone who holds one of my pieces is going to be really happy that they hold one of my pieces, whether it be Hen or OpenSea or wherever it is. You're gonna be pretty proud. And
I'm
aside
already
from
proud.
yeah,
I,
aside
I
from that,
Go on.
I am going to keep doing collaborations. There are some pieces that I'm working on with others. Um, Also, when I first started this, I said that if I was ever to be successful, I want to be able to buy more art from other artists and kind of put a spotlight and shine onto them, you know. And also, I mentioned that I want to. Okay, I started to be a veterinarian. You know, not many people know that, but change of events, I became a teacher instead. And because I didn't get to be a vet, I want to donate to like animal charities, specifically catch and release, like catch the cats, snip the nuts, release them back into the wild. You know, it's good for the environment, good for the cats. So
I love
that's
it.
kind of a little dream of mine. It's a little weird for people, but it's my way of helping animals. And yeah. Oh, one more thing. I am working on my own collaborative project, but not those 9,900 pieces. That's a little too much, you know. It's gonna be like maybe 200 pieces, and basically it's using my pictures, and we're gonna use like the AI to kind of morph my pictures into some kind of like cyberpunkish aesthetic. So it's really cool. I think people are gonna like the photos, and I'm not gonna go too crazy with the pricing because I want people to be able to afford them. I see Lauren Fanning was a vet tech. Yeah, I was a veterinary technician for 4 years. And I even I started to go to Texas A&M, you know, for I passed the test and everything, but I didn't end up happening. I went to San Marcos actually, and did I get off track? Anyways, I want people to be able to afford this project that I'm working on. It's a collab with somebody. Like he's bringing the coding and I'm bringing the photography, so it's gonna be pretty cool.
I have a child screaming, but it's all good. Hopefully, he doesn't come in here. That's really awesome. That you never know what path you're going to take. I was a computer science major, and I'm obsessed with NFTs. And
Yeah.
going and still going back to your, and I wanted to be an animator for Walt Disney when I was 4. I always thought that I was going to go to RISD, and then I got into computers, and now here I am. And my mom says she's proud of me because I'm talking about art. um, but it's really really cool that you want to go back and do some of that. It's funny, and this is a slight transition again, but when I've got my Bored Ape, and I know that you have hooked up a Bored Ape, and I know
I'm
that
holding on to it. Real life.
Diamond Hands. It's the only thing that I've held for a long time. But when you talked about like the cyberpunk aesthetic, I have I've talked about it before that eventually I want to start either a sushi restaurant or some gallery called Dead Ape Sushi, just because for whatever reason my ape I love it and it resonates with me. And the second I saw it, I knew I had to have it, and I bought 2 more, and I paper handed both of those for 0.5 ETH way early. But this one, when I saw it, I was like, "This is awesome!" To me, it was art. To me, it was is really exciting. So, but then I started thinking in my head, like, could I do a derivative where I put one of your Mount Fuji pieces behind my sushi ape, and then I
Sure.
looked at it and I didn't. But so when you talk about kind of your aesthetic and the cyberpunk feel, and there is a lot of cyberpunk aesthetic in NFTs, that just makes a lot of sense where you could blend some of that. And it's cool that you're not going to do 10,000 of them, but definitely looking forward to that. So I believe what you told me previously, and if my numbers are wrong, you actually got your ape for less than 10 ETH. So you were still relatively early for that.
I
When
don't
you
know if
had
that was considered early. I took everything I had and I bought that ape, and I was like, I'm gonna hold on to this for a long time. And actually, I had 2, and I sold one, and I put it into other projects, thinking that was a good idea, and it wasn't. But it's okay, kind of balanced out.
it's it's pay the NFT dues by
Yeah.
buying a bunch of other projects that may moon but don't. Can
But
you
I was able to get some mutants though. So I got the mutants for him, and I also got some dogs. So we're good. We're
I
solid.
I am dogless. Well, here's
You
one.
need a dog, man,
He
because
just
the
came in.
roadmap 2.0 is all about the dogs.
Yeah, well, now the dogs are like four ETH. And real briefly, and then we'll end with the collection one more time. What excites you most? So you've been And by the way, anyone go follow Noe's YouTube channels. He actually goes into detail on the decision making process that he did between deciding, does he save the money for the house? Does he buy the ape? He is an open book, and he shares his thought process, not just from the photography lens that we talked about earlier, but also just his general take on NFTs, generational wealth, crypto, and everything else. So please make sure you go follow his Twitter. You can follow his YouTube and everything else. So, as briefly as a collector, what do you look for in projects? Because you are an artist, people look up to you, but you also are very active in some of the NFT Asia. Yeah, you're active on Nevin's Underground, which he says I can talk about now. But you talk about collecting frequently, and you do trade, and you do sometimes buy the PFP projects, which a lot of artists um, don't like. They think that takes away and diminishes that. Do you have any thoughts that you can offer other artists to maybe appreciate both sides of what's going on?
First of all, just because people buy PFPs doesn't mean they're not buying artists' artwork. Like they always feel like, oh, they're stealing from us, or they should be buying from me. They should not be buying from them. First of all, it's their money. They can do whatever they want, right? I'm not that kind of person. But a lot of collectors, like me included, like the way we buy other artists' work is by flipping PFPs. It's just like buying, just like crypto. You buy a coin low and you watch it go up in value, and when you're comfortable you sell it and you have a profit. Now you have money to buy other artists work that you want, right? So just because people are out buying PFPs doesn't mean that they owe you anything, first of all. But that's the way many of them make their money, to buy other people's artwork that they do like. So whenever I see artists being angry about people buying PFPs, they need to understand this is the way it works. It's not just NFTs; it's also crypto, and this is part of the crypto. And this is why you have to learn about the markets and how things work, so that you don't go around saying things like that. You might piss off people. You might piss off a collector that would have bought your work until you said they're like dumb for buying a PFP and not their work, right? And I'm
Absolutely.
very strong about how I feel about that kind of thing, but it's because I see it all the time. Mm.
I appreciate it because you are a one of the most soft-spoken people, very thoughtful in how you respond, but you're also steadfast in your conviction, and you're
I
not
think we heard it
afraid.
yesterday.
Do what?
I think we heard it yesterday in the spaces about the environment.
That's exactly right. And your belief, but if you have a belief and that belief is well founded on facts, you're not afraid to have nuanced conversations. And that's another thing that I appreciate about you and Icky and some of the others that are willing to dive into complex dialogue, which oftentimes, if you say bad word X, all of a sudden everyone's ganging up on you and trying to cancel you. And it's easier to probably, and they're not you, but just in general in the space. Oftentimes, if you talk about the environment, everyone says you're bad, and there are parts of this that are tough, and there is nuance that people have to go into, and there's things that people can do for the environment, absolutely. But you're not afraid to go and have those tough conversations, and that just makes you even more special for the space.
Well, I've always been more of a science person. I studied biochemistry and I was pre-veterinary and passed all the tests and everything. And even now, I'm not a vet and I'm a teacher, I'm a photographer, but I still keep up with like the literature. And whenever there's someone makes some far-fetched claim, whatever it is, I go and I look at the studies. And I'm not talking about like National Enquirer or some Google search. I'm talking about looking into the actual literature, like I learned at the university. But like the thing about people who they have like a thing against NFTs, or like they want to argue about the environment, they don't really care about that kind of stuff. I just think they just want to argue. And I think I raised this point yesterday. It doesn't matter if you point out the facts or you have like a well thought out argument and support it. Most of those kind of people, they're just salty, basically.
Yeah.
They're angry. Mm.
And yeah, and that's avoid the anger, promote positivity, provide facts when possible, and avoid if it's not a winnable fight, just stay out of the fray, right?
Yeah.
Coming back to the drop, date, time, excitement.
Um, Feels very surreal because we just had a drop date, the community drop date. I don't even remember when it was, but it doesn't even feel like that long ago, right? And yeah, basically, I wanted to have a little bit for everybody. Like I wanted to have a piece that people can have like an entry point to hold one of my pieces. I wanted to reward the holders, people who like my work or people who've always wanted like a night piece. So we got collectors only draw and collectors only open edition. We have an open draw for everybody. We have the ranked auctions so that Noru can get something, she can get some exposure, and also the one of one, which I'm really excited to see how that one will do because last time I wasn't expecting it to go that high. I always have low expectations of myself. That way, I'm never disappointed. That's like my motto: aim low. But I do work pretty hard at what I do.
Yeah, the one of one is probably outside of my range, but it's definitely my favorite piece in the collection. Like it feels just like a Saturday afternoon and just taking a deep breath and letting all the pain and crap you deal with in the world just go away for just half a moment. So
Yeah,
it's
that's another thing. Like, a lot of art is controversial, right? So they're always they fit in some kind of social commentary into other pieces, and I always thought like I had to be like that to be successful. I guess I am when I argue against people for what they consider controversial, and I jump right in, right? But with my art, I kind of want people to forget about Republicans or Democrats or environment or Corona or whatever's going on in the world. I just want them to kind of step away from all that for a second and just enjoy a moment of peace. So as opposed to other artists who incorporate that controversy into the work, mine is more like I want people to enjoy something beautiful and kind of forget the problems they have in the world, which is I know is not like a very hot and popular thing for artists to do, but that's what I try to do with my work.
I think you nailed it.
I hope so.
Well, I know I'm going to be entering all of the ones I can, and that's the other thing about your pieces. I just pulled up your last piece that I got lucky and won. It was an edition of 50, original price 250, last sale 1,500, and it was July 22nd. So when you think about how much how much has changed since July 22nd, I'm glad you're back on Nifty
I
Gateway.
I try to keep my prices as low as I can because I want as many people as possible to hold one of my pieces. And I think many artists, the thing they do is they go too high too fast. And that tends to price out certain people and kind of ruins things for you, I think.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, you're good, and I love it. It's you also let the secondary kind of dictate, right? It's you put a price that you think is fair. That definitely not the cheapest drops, but it's definitely not the most expensive. And then typically, if a piece is well priced, especially on websites like Nifty Gateway, the secondary market will take that into account, and that's how you reward your collectors, right? They may own up 5 of your pieces, and they may want to flip one because they like the other 4 more. And if it's well priced, it presents that opportunity for A, you to make money on the secondary, B, them to be rewarded, and everyone wins because now more people are holding your art. And I absolutely love that.
Yeah, like I think it would be very easy to make things a cash grab. Like I could just have an open edition, charge a lot of money, probably sell out, and live comfortable for the rest of my life. But I want to be in this space for like the really long run, the long term, right? So I don't mind slowly making my way up to that point. Like I'm not just gonna charge a lot of money. I'm not even comfortable charging so much money for my pieces yet. I just kind of let them start low and let, as you said, the free market decide what they're willing to get it for. So
Well,
I'm more comfortable with that.
when you price your art in ETH, they're very, very affordable compared to any PFP pictures that are out there. So
I
I
think
think
so.
I think it's great. Well, Noe, I appreciate you being such a good friend of the show, the team, coming on Spaces with Lauren. Lauren's been an incredible asset, adding to the team, and super thankful. I'm going to be an active participant in this drop, and I'm particularly excited for the other news that you're not able to share yet. And
Oh yeah, she
shout
does.
out to Noru Pixels as well.
Yeah, y'all should go follow her. She's the real star.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
I'll see you around.
All right.